Hey guys, welcome to the Eerie Side Podcast with your host, Dee,
Elena,
and Sophia.
We appreciate you guys listening, and I hope you're ready to get on the eerie side. Before we get into the show, we would appreciate if you all could give the podcast a follow and make sure the bell notification is turned on so you'll be notified whenever we drop an episode. If you enjoy the show, we would love to have you leave us a review. And if there's a case suggestion or any feedback you'd like to share, feel free to send us a message in the text box below. Please follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. This week, we're going to have 2 short stories. I'm going to start with one. My story is about Brianna Maitland. This story is from 2003. Brianna Maitland was living in her family home and had decided to move out in order to be closer to her friends who attended a different high school that was 15 miles away. I find that personally a little interesting because most of the times when you're in high school, you can go to another high school if your parents live in another area. 15 miles away doesn't seem like she was going to the same school, and I'm not sure how she accomplished this.
How old was she?
She was 16 at this time.
And so she moved into whose house?
I'm not sure whose house she moved into, but I do know that she moved out of her home.
And her parents were okay with that?
It appears like they were.
Okay.
Now, they say that there were no stresses at home and that Brianna just wanted to be more independent. Sometime after a while, Brianna dropped out of school entirely. Then it only took her a few months to secure stable living arrangement, and she was working at 2 jobs. At the same time, she was also getting her GED and was then going to attend college part-time. A few weeks before March 2004, Brianna gets into an altercation with another teen at a party who was also a former friend. This happened supposedly over a boy. Brianna had martial art training. However, she refused to fight this girl. The other woman punched her in the face, leaving her with a broken nose and concussion. Brianna filed charges against her friend.
Wait, so this was her friend
A former friend.
that punched her at a party?
Correct.
Possibly over a boy?
Correct.
Okay, it's interesting.
Now, on March 19, 2004, Brianna was 17 years old. She had completed a test to obtain her GED and had lunch with her mother, Kelly, to celebrate. The 2 then went out shopping where something or someone caught Brianna's eye and she went outside the store. Her mother noticed she went outside and her mother went out a little later to see what was happening because she hadn't come back in. Her mother claims Brianna seemed shaken and agitated. She told her mother that she had to get home for her evening shift at the Black Lantern Inn. Her mother didn't ask her what was wrong, not wanting to pry into her daughter's private life. Her mother decided to drive Brianna back to her apartment that she shared with her friend Jillian Stout. Before leaving for her shift at the Black Lantern Inn at Montgomery, Vermont, Brianna had left a note for her roommate saying that she would be home after work. When her shift at the restaurant was over around 11:20 p.m., several of her co-workers asked her to stay and have dinner with them. But she said that she was tired and needed to get home and rest because she had to work at her second job in the morning. Her co-worker said that Maitland got into her pale green 4-door 1985 Oldsmobile alone and left.
Do we know what her second job in the morning was or where it was?
I didn't see that anywhere. I'm assuming it was probably another restaurant or something of that sort.
Okay.
The next day, several passing motorists reported an abandoned car with its rear end stuck in the wall of a vacant building.
Like it was backed into a wall?
Yeah, the back
Okay.
part. That building was the Dutch Burn farmhouse about a mile from the Black Lantern Inn, and some of them thought that the scene was suspicious or at least interesting enough to stop and take photographs.
Was the black, that's where she works, right?
The Black Lantern Inn is where
that's
she
her
works.
job. Okay.
So they're taking photographs just because they thought that was interesting, or what?
Yeah, the car was in a little bit of an angle, and its back part was pushed into the farmhouse.
Did it look like someone hid it in there or like it was reversed or we don't know yet?
It looked like it was parked, but a little odd. In the picture, you'll see it.
Yeah.
It looks a little odd. The building was vacant, and these people knew it. So to see
Okay,
the car
it's
parked
kinda
that way
weird.
was kind of weird.
Okay.
The image of the car stuck partway into the wall of the old gray house. State troopers found Brianna's car. Around the car, the police found loose change, a water bottle, an unlit cigarette. Inside the car, 2 of Brianna's uncashed paychecks and all her clothing, her medicine, driver's license, her makeup, and her contact lenses were there.
Do we know if those clothes were the ones that she was wearing that night, or do you get into that later?
I don't have any idea actually about that,
Oh, okay.
what her clothes were.
Okay.
The trooper who first visited the scene assumed that the car had been abandoned by a drunk driver and had a tow truck take it to the impound lot. He drove back to the Black Lantern Inn in an attempt to get more information, but finding it closed, radioed in his report and thought little more of it at the time. However, it wasn't for many days after the car was discovered that Brianna's disappearance was recognized. Her roommate, Jillian Stout, had plans for the weekend and was going to her boyfriend's. When she saw the note Friday, she didn't think anything of it. Once Jillian returned home on Monday and saw that the note was in the same place, that she began to worry. Jillian assumed that Brianna had spent the weekend with her parents, therefore did not contact her parents until Tuesday. When her parents heard from Jillian, her parents started calling around to her daughter's various friends. None of them had seen her since her shift at the Black Lantern. Eventually, Maitland's parents called the police and filed a missing person report. However, by then, Brianna had already been gone for almost a week. Now, at this point, Brianna is missing, and they know it. So regarding the altercation that Brianna had with the girl, the charges against the girl were dropped by the police 3 weeks after Brianna's disappearance. Police stated that they investigated the friend, and she had been cleared of any involvement in Brianna's disappearance.
But why did they still drop the charges?
Brianna wasn't
Gone,
around to
too.
press the
Oh.
charges either.
Oh, okay. She got it.
The car in that farmhouse was Brianna's,
Right.
and that is all they had found. Since her disappearance, there has been numerous theories about what happened to Brianna. Nothing has really come from them. One theory suggests Brianna voluntarily left town. In the weeks prior to her disappearance, Brianna reportedly told several friends she was planning a short trip. However, authorities really have no evidence of this. My problem with this one is if you're planning a short trip, that doesn't mean you're leaving forever.
And you would take your ID, cash, something with
And
you.
she would cash her
Yeah.
payroll check, so I don't really think this is it. There is also speculation that she either ran away or been sold into sex slavery. Her family feels that it was not a random act and that more than one person may have taken her because she knew Ju Situ. In 2006, a woman who resembled her was spotted on security footage at the Caesars World Casino in Atlantic City, though the woman was never identified. Some theories about Brianna Maitland's disappearance suggest she was a victim of a serial killer. The reason they say this is that one of the popular theories about this case is somehow connected to the disappearance of Maura Murray. University of Massachusetts student Maura Murray went missing on February 9th, 2004. Her vehicle was found abandoned in a ditch near North Haverhill, New Hampshire, 90 miles from where Brianna's vehicle was found.
I'm very familiar with the Maura Murray.
Yeah, I was about to
Case?
say, that sounds so familiar.
Yeah, because also her sister has a TikTok now that's completely like promoting it to this day in order to find out what happened to her. So if any of you are not familiar with the Maura Murray case, that is also a very, very interesting, confusing case as well.
Hers is the one where she emailed her professor, right, about her family's death that never happened. Yeah. And then,
And then
she was kind of spotted a bit and then just, disappeared.
But I feel like with Mara's case, there was a lot more distress in her life versus with Brianna. It didn't seem like she had a lot of distressing things going on.
As far as we know. Now, in both of these cases, there's no signs of altercation or any indication that the young women were harmed or killed in or near their vehicles. They both left their personal belongings in their cars, and they both were attractive young women with dark hair. Both Maitland and Murray seemingly vanished without any trace, and nobody was ever charged or convicted in either disappearance.
Do they have any theories as to how Brianna's vehicle ended up as it did in that barn?
Again, the police did not do their work really well. They had it towed. They did not do much around the car to see.
But wasn't there like a lot of pictures that they can go back to?
The pictures were from people who drove by and stopped to take pictures.
Right, but can't they ask them for the evidence?
Yes, they have.
Oh,
but they should have gone around, seen what else was around the car, picked up, stopped people from going near it. Instead, they just had it towed.
Yeah.
If we could determine whether it was an accident or it wasn't an accident, then I think we could gather some theories about each scenario. And with Mara's case, it seemed like it was an accident. So if Brianna's was an accident, it could have been somebody who took that moment of opportunity.
Or someone who hit the car and then got them off the side of the road and then took them.
This is just a theory, but I don't think this has anything to do with both of them. Because although the similarities in the case are intriguing, authorities have not confirmed any connection between the two disappearances.
Yeah.
Later that same year, authorities received another tip implicating Nathaniel Jackson and Ramon Ryans in Brianna Maitland's disappearance and death. The anonymous tipster said Maitland and Ryans argued because he owed her money. As reported by the Story of the Unsolved, the source says Maitland loaned Ryans money to purchase cocaine and he never paid her back. The source says Jackson and Ryans ultimately killed Brianna. They reportedly hid her body in the basement of another home for 1 week. Then they dismembered her with a table saw and disposed of her at a pig farm.
How much legitimacy do police give these claims?
Yeah, because that's...
They don't talk about that it's legitimate. They just have them as suspects.
Where did this come from? Was it an anonymous tip?
Yes, an anonymous tip, yes. Now, here's when technology is coming into play. In 2016, police revealed that they'd recovered DNA samples from the car at the time of Maitland's disappearance. Vermont State Police investigators used advanced DNA sequencing techniques to identify a sample found as part of their investigation. After months of follow-up investigation, police said they were able to obtain DNA samples from possible donors. These DNA samples were sent to the Vermont Forensic Laboratory for comparison testing. The lab confirmed that the DNA from one of the individuals matched the DNA on the item found on the ground near Brianna's vehicle. The police did say that the DNA found from the car is the same DNA found around the car on the ground. But investigators say identifying the source of DNA found near the abandoned car of Brianna's does not mean they have identified a suspect in her disappearance. Actually, the DNA was entered into an FBI database and compared against 11 persons of interest, but no match was found.
What about the ones that had the anonymous tip? Did they compare it against them?
And they must have.
Tested against multiple suspects.
Yeah, I would assume it'd be them.
Right. And I think they are not considered, maybe they're not completely considered suspects since the DNA isn't coming through.
Right.
In addition, the sample was also sent to Othram Laboratories in Texas. Officials tested the DNA and found that it matched DNA from a candidate donor. The police, however, weren't able to determine a suspect.
What does that mean, the DNA matched a candidate donor, but the police
confused.
couldn't determine?
They're not giving any more information than that.
But like what donor? Like from...
Somebody who offered their DNA?
Yeah.
Yes, that's how I'm taking it. However, they're not saying who it is or anything. Here's the thing. If this was someone who was in contact with her, okay, in some way or form was in her car, and I'm going to assume it's his DNA is in the car anyways. He may not even have touched her.
And what year did this DNA come about?
2016, I think they found it. Yeah, 2016 is when they did the DNA. It started the DNA. I'm assuming even if they find DNA and they go and talk to this person, he's going to say, yeah, I was in the car with her.
Right.
That's all that you have to say.
Because it doesn't necessarily prove that he hurt her or did anything.
Right. He could have been like a one-night stand. He could have been a friend.
But at least it gives an investigator somewhere to jump off from or another direction to look.
I think it also depends where they found the DNA. Her car door was left open.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming someone pulled her out or she got out and started running away. Something. Where was this DNA? Was it on the car door? If he opened the door and she ran out? Right. They're not saying much. Now, on her 20th year anniversary of her disappearance, which is this year, the FBI announced an up to $40,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Brianna.
Wow.
This is the first time that the police have offered a reward in this missing person's case. Her father did put a reward up for her, but it was nothing as close as $40,000. Right. To this day, what happened to her on that dark March night remains a mystery.
I wonder, and of course we can't say for sure, but I wonder if whatever it was, interaction or incident she had with somebody outside the shop that she was with her mom, if that had anything to do with her disappearance. And I think it's impossible to say with the knowledge we have, but it makes me wonder, and I don't necessarily think it had anything to do with it. I think it's just something I'm always going to wonder is, was that in any way part of her disappearance, or was it completely irrelevant to her going missing?
I don't think her mother was able to see who Brianna was talking to either.
Does she know she was talking to someone?
She kind of thought she was talking to someone. And the way Brianna left, like she saw someone outside. So her mother had that concept.
It makes me think somebody was following her, and it seems like somebody she knew.
Was there any mention of a boyfriend at all?
I have no mention of a boyfriend.
Okay, because I wonder if she could have been hiding it, but I don't know why. Maybe that's why she had to run out, and there was some issues with the relationship.
I have no idea. I'm hoping that the police talk to her roommate to find out if she knew anything. I was hoping that they talked to her coworkers because she may have said something to her coworkers.
Yeah.
But the police have not even said much about this. There isn't much information about what may have happened if she had a boyfriend. The way the story is portrayed is that she didn't have anyone. Now, she was very busy, so I'm not sure she had a boyfriend. She worked 2 jobs. She went to school. She was getting ready to do a part-time schooling at a college. If she had time for a boyfriend, wow.
Maybe it was a female friend that she was talking to. I don't want to say enemy, but somebody she didn't even like.
That's true. It could have just been like someone that she had beef with or something like that. And it was frustrating her. I don't know.
But whoever it was followed her. Her car went into the building. She was trying either to get away or some car.
That's just a weird.
Drove in front of her.
Wasn't it the back of her car?
That's what I'm saying. It's a weird way to crash.
Weird.
I can't understand how she would crash with the back.
Unless she spun out and it's the back and ended up hitting it.
Yeah, but I feel like that it would be kind of...
No, I can see that happening.
I don't know. It'd be kind of rare.
It could also be something really different. If you guys look at the pictures of the car, it looks very weird how the car is backed into this abandoned farmhouse. I sometimes wonder if she was driving, maybe someone else was driving, coming the opposite direction. They were drunk, and she just spun out of control and hit the back of that building.
It looks really weird. It definitely could have been like a spinning situation where she spun out of control and she hit that. Was it, what month did she disappeared? Was it cold out?
March in Vermont. So it's probably somewhat cold. Actually, there's snow on the ground.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't know how the roads were, but like I can tell in the background that there's snow there. It's possible she could have slid.
There is no mention that the weather could have played a role at all. I just can't see someone backing her car in like that. Can you?
Yeah, it's definitely a weird way. If you're trying to make it seem like she crashed, you would probably back it in the other way, with the front going in first.
If somebody had forced her to spin out, whether intentionally or unintentionally due to their driving, I don't think she would get so... Just looking at the car and the lack of the damage to the car, it's hard for me to think she would have been so injured for somebody to try and cover it up or anything of the sort, unless she just happened to hit her head the wrong way.
But then I feel like there would be blood on the steering wheel.
Not necessarily if she just hit her head.
Yeah, but if she hit her head, like, really bad to the point where she wasn't waking up, I feel like that would lead to blood.
Not always.
Or it could be someone tried to get her to lose control of her car, and that's how it ended, because they had other intention.
It almost looks like someone was driving on the other side of the road and lightly hit her in the front, but there's no sign. It would, like, the person could maybe hit it to the front and push her off to the side, but there's no damage to the front of the car, so that can't be possible, but that's, like, the only other thing I can think of.
You don't need to hit somebody to drive them off the road either. So she could have been driven off the road without anyone even hitting her. I wonder if she could have hit her head so bad that she became disoriented and got out of the car, started walking, and then just maybe was so confused that fell down and just died somewhere.
Okay, and you don't think someone would have found her?
Yeah, I feel like that this
Did they do a search of the area?
I think eventually they must have.
But sometimes people miss certain spots. Like, I could see her walking and unfortunately the rescue workers not discovering her.
I mean, there is like a whole forest behind her.
Behind the
behind the car.
Farmhouse. Yeah, I see that. I have no idea.
But she would have had to walk.
How far from civilization or from any sort of gas station, restaurant, whatever?
I think I said it was only 1 mile away from the restaurant. It's not that far.
Did she have a cell phone?
I have no idea. It is 2003, so it won't be like what we're used to. Anyways, so this is where we are with Brianna. Now I'm going to turn it over to Sophia, and she's going to go over her story.
When I started my research to cover the Emily Paul case today, which is a disappearance with a very unusual ending, and really the only one I know of this kind that has this crazy kind of ending. It's April 2013, and in Southport, Florida, there is a 14-year-old girl named Emily Paul. Emily lives with her mom and dad, and I'm not sure if she had any siblings. There is very little information on this case, so I don't even know information like that or the exact day she goes missing. I just know the year. So keep in mind, if there's details I'm not including like I would normally about a case, it's because I don't have those details. Emily's mom is named Pam Massimian, and she described their relationship as loving. When talking about Emily, she said, she's a very good girl, a very friendly girl, fun-loving. Okay. And Emily liked to express herself through her purple and green highlighted hair. Then one day, family comes home and Emily is nowhere to be found. Instead, they find a note she's left behind where she tells them that she's left and is running away. It became clear that Emily had packed things into a suitcase, including her Xbox, that she took with her when she ran away. Police also believe she ran away because not only because of the information I just shared with you, but also because they found research she did online that showed that she had looked up how she could successfully run away.
So, excuse me, was she in school and then came home and her parents were home, and then when they came home from work, they found her?
That's what I'm assuming. They didn't even give details like that, but I'm assuming they came home from work and she just wasn't there.
Oh.
Okay. And this was during the week, right? Like, it was
again, I don't even know that. I would love to know that information, but they didn't really give that. I'm just assuming they came home and they maybe from work and they found that letter and she run away.
Okay.
The week after Emily disappears, her cell phone pings 3 times, but after that she goes completely off the grid, both with her phone activity and Facebook and all other social medias. She completely evaporates. But one more thing I didn't tell you guys about what was in Emily's letter is that not only did she state she's running away, she also writes that when she turns 18, she is going to contact her family.
So she...
Interesting.
Yeah, so she runs away and has packed her bags and all that.
She's packed a suitcase with
suitcase.
stuff.
They know she did some research of it. And she, in the letter she left, she said she was going to contact them when she turned 18. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. And at the same time, did she take her phone with her?
I think so because they tracked that her cell phone pinged 3 times.
Okay, it did ping thing. But she had no social media, anything on social media after she left.
Correct. Yeah. After her phone pings, nothing. No social media at all.
And where did her phone ping?
That information I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know where it pinged, and I'm not even sure if they know the exact location or just the area.
Okay.
So the Bay County Sheriff's Office lists Emily Paul as a missing person. 5 years after Emily goes missing, her family starts to receive letters from someone claiming to be Emily. Based on the handwriting, the family believes it is Emily. When they show these letters to the investigators, they agree the letters likely came from Emily too. So then, the police try to reach Emily by posting a video on their Facebook page in hopes that she will see it. In that video, Captain Jason Daffin is speaking, and he asks that Emily reach out to them so that they could close the missing persons case. He said, "Emily, if you're watching this, I'd like to just explain to you the preface of our investigation. Our investigation is for no other reason but to make sure that you're safe, that you're where you want to be, and that it's under your own free will. I want you to know that as a law enforcement officer, I'm not at liberty to disclose to anybody where you're at. That's nobody else's business. That's your privacy. You're an adult, so the only thing I can report back to anybody is that you're okay, you're safe, and I know you're where you'd like to be."
But wasn't she technically not an adult?
Well, now at this point, 5 years have passed.
Oh, so it's past. So she's over 18.
She'd actually be 19, yeah.
Okay, but she still hasn't reached out, which is why.
Well, the family's receiving these letters from her.
And what do the letters state?
But did one of the letters say she would reach out at 18 and never did?
That was her runaway letter that she left when she had first run away.
Right, but she never did when she turned 18. So now they're kind of.
Well, they started to receive letters when she would have been 19.
Oh, okay.
So.
And what do the letters say?
Nobody has even said what they say.
Okay.
I don't know what the purpose of that is, but no one has said what was in those letters.
Interesting.
Captain Jason Daffin then asks Emily to call the Bay County Sheriff's Office, tell them who she is, and ask for Captain Jason Daffin. He then says, "Emily, if you do this, I can close this case and I can have a peace of mind knowing you're okay. There are a lot of people in the community who care about you, they love you, and they just want that peace of mind." 2 weeks after this was posted to Facebook, Emily calls the Bay County Sheriff's Office and says she's okay. The police ask her to come in so that they can verify she is safe and that she's not making the call under duress.
Okay.
30 minutes after police ask her to do this, Emily goes to another police station and they confirm her identity through photographs. In person, while talking to the police, Emily says she was safe and happy and that she had a support system. Police said she appeared to be in good health and that she arrived at and left the station by herself.
Did they take any DNA?
I don't think so. I don't know for sure.
Interesting.
They didn't say that they did, and I'm just telling you what I know, so I'm assuming
it just sounds a little suspicious, so I was just wondering if they gave her some water and then they kept what she drank and checked for DNA, but that's okay.
Well, so they think they've confirmed her through photographs. But that is a very good question to put out there, is it even Emily?
Or like even dental records or something.
What did they do? Have her open her mouth for dental records? She's not dead.
But she can still use that.
What
I'm just saying is like in a...
Like go to a dentist maybe?
Yeah, something you could have done to prove it.
That's even worse. DNA would be quiet. No one would know.
Still.
Well, the one thing I did want to mention is you'd think that the family would look at the handwriting of the letters and say, yes, this is Emily's handwriting.
I thought they did say that.
They did. So if they and the police think the handwriting looks just like Emily's, and then this woman comes in who looks like 5 years older than Emily.
Okay.
I'm not saying it isn't her. It could be her.
It could be.
So now Emily Paul's missing persons case has officially been closed, and police are staying true to their word in that they will not share her location. Although, even though this has been said, I don't even know if they know her location. But they are respecting her privacy, just like they said that they would.
Okay.
I just find it unusual. There are not that many 13-year-olds who can go out into the world and make it so well by the time they're 19 that they feel that they're comfortable enough to say, oh, I'm doing great. I'm not saying it can't happen. It just sounds unusual. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have a lot of thoughts on that, and we can get into the theories later. But I'm with you that I think it would be exceptionally hard for a 13-year-old to be able to run away and be able to say, yeah, I'm 19 now and I have a really great support system and I'm happy and healthy. And if you told me to do that now as an adult, like I wouldn't know how to run away successfully.
Yeah.
Emily's cousin, Melissa Parker, said that she is over the moon to hear that Emily is okay. And in a message to Emily, Melissa said, I love you. We all love you so much. And no matter how much time goes by, no matter what happens, what has happened, we will always be here for you. Now, whether Emily is still sending letters to her family, or maybe she has even decided to reunite with them, I don't know. And I wouldn't be surprised if she had already decided or will one day decide to reunite with them under the condition that it's private and maybe doesn't involve the media. We do know that she seems to like her privacy for whatever reason. So it could be that at some point recently she's decided to reunite with the family and has asked them to remain private. And the fact that they've kept her letters private makes me think that they are very serious in respecting her privacy to some point. So who knows what has happened or hasn't with any reunification. This is all we know about the case. Before we get into any theories, do you all have any actual theories on what you think has happened?
No, not yet. I don't feel like I know enough to lean one way or another.
It could be Emily, but I'm assuming that there might be something suspicious about that. I mean, I would have done at least a DNA test just to make sure it is who it is. There are times people come and claim they are someone, people believe them, but they're not. So that's why I'm being a little cautious.
And I also wonder, did they take a picture of her to share with her family? Because that would be my first question is, how do you know it's her?
I assume.
It's interesting because when I was going through these theories in the case, nobody had mentioned that one, but that's actually really valid. Like, is that even Emily? So let's get started in terms of the theories. One theory, which is what Emily's mom believes, is that she was lured away by someone. Some people speculate that maybe she was communicating with somebody on her Xbox online, and that's where the communications between Emily and this potential older individual were, since they did not find anything on any other devices left at home. It's also possible Emily just took the Xbox because she really liked it and wanted to take it with her, but we don't know for sure why she took the Xbox. I'm also thinking that if she's running away, how is she going to use the Xbox? Because if she is actually running away from home, I think it would be hard for her to have somewhere where she could plug that in and play it. Or maybe she's running away to somebody's actual home that she's going to. So maybe she's not running away, but she's going somewhere where she has a home where she knows she can use it.
She bought it knowing that she could use it. Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely something I was wondering too. And you said she bought the Xbox, and I was like, if you're going to be homeless, you don't know where, like, if you're going to be able to use it unless she bought it to sell it.
That was what I was thinking, is maybe she did buy it to sell it for cash.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I can see being likely. But she was also 13, so she might have just been young and just brought it to have it to play with and maybe didn't realize.
Didn't understand, like, oh, wait,
right.
I'm not going to
Or just didn't think that far ahead.
Yeah, and that's possible, too, not realizing it would be hard for her to actually use it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something going on in the home for Emily to want to run away?
We don't know. People can always speculate, but at the end of the day, we don't know that there was anything going on in the home at all. So that could be something that, made her run away too. If she actually did run away without anyone else being involved, when children run away, it's usually because they're experiencing some form of turmoil or abuse in their home life. So we don't know, though. She seemed like she had a good relationship with her family, but of course, nobody really knows besides the people who are actually living it. But I'm going to continue on the theory of somebody luring Emily away. There's the question of, why did she search up to run away if she was going to be with somebody in particular that she was going to run to? So if she was actually running away with somebody else who had coaxed her to come and stay with them, then why would she search how to run away unless she searched it as a way to diminish suspicion that she was going with somebody she knew? That's the only reason where I would say, if you're going with an older individual who's like lured you to come stay with them, why are you going to search how to successfully run away?
Well, if this individual tells you to do that so that it doesn't look like anyone told her to leave and come with them.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because she could have very well been groomed or been manipulated to go with an older individual. And maybe she's still with this individual to this day and is so brainwashed into continuing to stay with them, or has Stockholm syndrome, which is very legit. Some people might say that, well, if that's the case, why would she reach back out to her family? And it could be because she wants them to know she's okay, but feels as though she has to stay with her new person. Like, she could be so controlled that she is staying with this individual, but still wants to let her family know she's alive and well.
I feel like we've seen that happen before, because remember there was that one case where this woman was kidnapped for so long and then he still let her go see her parents.
Oh, yeah. Was that the toy box?
Yeah, it was not the toy box, but it was like the girl in the box.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know if that was like the name, but I know it was like she was kept in a box for a while by this man and his wife, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and then eventually over time she gained his trust to like go out. And she never said anything.
Right.
And she would see her family a couple times and still never said anything. So I guess that's not off the table.
Yeah. I agree. I think we now understand it more than we did before. But people can have control over somebody to the extent that you can't even comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you think about it, why does she wait until she's over 18 to write? Because she explicitly mentions in her letter she'll contact them at that age. Mm-hmm. And obviously I think the 18 is significant because at that point she's an adult and can nobody can come and take her and force her to be with her parents at that point. So if she is living with somebody else, and even if she's run away, I guess, her reaching her family is not going to put her in jeopardy of being taken back with them. But if she's with somebody who's keeping her, that person could still be held responsible if she's under 18. And maybe even could be held responsible if she was over 18, if they were able to prove that she was kidnapped and has been controlled. I don't know. It'd be difficult, I think. The other major theory is that she ran away for a multitude of different reasons. I don't want to speculate too much out of respect for the family. I know we had just gone over this, but we don't know for sure what her home life was like. It could have been awful, or she could have been treated very well. It's hard to say, but some people speculate could it have been because of her home life that drove her to run away. Another reason she could have run away, and this is along the lines with her home life, is that she could have been abused by only one specific family member, but she knew that if she revealed this secret, it would destroy her entire family. So instead of doing this, and instead of staying and enduring the abuse, she runs away. I was reading this on Reddit, so this is take this with a grain of salt, but somebody mentioned when children are being abused by one specific family member, they don't want to come out and say it because they know it'll completely destroy that family unit that they love and care about. And so rather than destroying that, they just run away in order to not continue being abused, but to also not destroy the family unit.
Right.
To me, she was 14. Her brain is not developed. And I think in her mind, this could be a very valid reason to run away and to escape.
Is there any possibility that something was going on at home and she went to some kind runaway shelter?
They have runaway shelters?
They have something for runaways.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not like there's a whole bunch out there, but I do know there are people who go out there to help the runaways.
I see what you're saying. That's possible too. She went somewhere. I mean, at the same time, I feel like if she had searched that online and found a shelter, wouldn't they have seen that and said, okay, she was looking at the shelter, let us go there and see if she's there?
Well, at 19, she's not there anymore.
Right, but back then when she was 14, I know she was searching how to successfully run away. But if she had found it, and maybe she stumbled upon it, whatever, hypothetically later, not right away. But if she had Googled for a shelter and found a runaway shelter or some sort of shelter, wouldn't the police have been able to see that in her search history and to be able to go to that shelter and be like, hey, is this girl here?
I don't know if they can reveal that information. Because sometimes when they are in these things, they are protected. I don't know. And a lot of them don't stay there that long either. They move around too. So it could have been she was there one time and that's it.
Yeah. The thing is, like, we don't know if she ran away on her own or if somebody facilitated it. But typically when people run away on their own, it's because of extreme abuse, like in most circumstances. Another reason she could have run away is because she's being abused by somebody outside the home. But she doesn't want to tell her parents, and she doesn't want to continue being abused, so she runs away. Now, I think this could be another possibility because a teenager's brain is not formed enough to make like logical and rational decisions. So in her state, she could have been too ashamed to share this, what she thought was an embarrassing secret with her parents. And so instead of saying being abused by this individual and breaking free from it, or maybe she felt like she couldn't break free from it for whatever reason, whether she was threatened or not, she decides to run away. And actually, I have more theories to go, but one thing that just popped into my mind that I think I had seen some people mention on Reddit, and it's another theory, is like, if Emily had somehow gotten pregnant and made the decision to run away in order to hide that.
Oh, anything's possible. If all this is true and that really is Emily who comes back, that means that she ran away for a reason. Obviously, the family's not saying anything. The police are not saying anything. That's a suspicious part of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting right now.
Another theory that I thought of, but I hadn't seen anywhere, and it's probably less likely, but I'm still going to share it, is that what if she was abducted by someone who she didn't know? And say this individual comes into her house and holds her at gunpoint and basically forces her to write the runaway note and search up on her computer how to run away. And also tells her she needs to pack whatever she wants to bring with. And maybe she does this because she has no other choice and is forced to by the kidnapper, and then is also forced to live with her kidnapper for the next 5 years. And by 5 years later, she's been programmed, she's controlled, so that if she does have agency to move about, her kidnapper maybe trusts her at this point, and she's allowed to reach out 5 years later and say she's okay, so that the case can be closed. And by doing this and having Emily write a runaway letter, police now have less initiative to find her and search for her and search for somebody who may have taken her, since she's written that she's running away and also done a search on her computer.
What I don't understand is most runaways do not, sometimes they don't even leave a letter. Emily not only wrote a letter, but said in 5 years, I will contact you.
Right, which is kind of interesting, which is very interesting.
And it shows that to some extent she cares about her family.
Yeah.
Even if, I'm not saying they were, but even hypothetically, if they were treating her terribly, she still seems to care enough about them to say, I'm going to let you know I'm doing okay 5 years from now.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. It doesn't seem like the family itself is the reason why she's running away, if that makes sense.
At least not completely, in my opinion. I think she has to have some sort of tenderness or love for somebody, if not everyone in that family, to say, I'm going to let you know I'm okay 5 years from now.
Yeah, I feel
and to also let them know she's running away.
Yeah, I feel like something else is definitely going on.
That's my opinion, and I'll keep going. I think that's all the theories we've got to before I wrap up the case, but it's possible she ran away on her own. I'm not saying that didn't happen, but my feeling is that somebody else was involved.
Yeah, I think I might need to hear a little bit more if there is any more, but it seems like that's a possibility for sure. I'm not going to go one way or another just yet, but I can definitely see that being possible.
Yeah.
Have you heard from her dad making any comments?
No, nothing. It really bothers me, not about her dad, but that there's not as much information as you'd expect on the case online. So I just found those quotes from her mom and her cousin, and that's it. So I don't know what her other family members have to say. You'd think there'd be more reporting on this, but a part of me thinks that because she said she ran away, some of the media lost interest because they're like, oh, she's just running away.
Yeah, like she's just a runaway, not...
Now, I have my doubts on her being a runaway.
Yeah.
I really do. And I just texted you both pictures of Emily Paul. She looks like a sweet girl. She doesn't look troubled, in my opinion.
My only question is there any way she really left and went with a family member that knew something was going in the house and they protected her?
Oh, I also think that's another possibility. She may not have run to somebody who wanted her for a sexual nature like that. A lot of people think. Like, I think she could have also gone to a family member or a friend. And because she wrote that she was running away, I get the sense that the police did not do as much of a thorough search because she said she was running away, rather than if she just disappeared. I don't know how likely they are to do searches of family members and friends at that point. As far as I know, Emily did not have a boyfriend. They never mentioned that, so I don't know. But I've known of girls who run away and they end up living in their boyfriend's basements without their parents knowing or whatever.
She came back, so it was something that would allow her to come back. And obviously the police feel that whatever the reason she left, and she was safe the whole time. So I assume they asked some questions and they felt, that she's okay.
When she came to the police, it was definitely clear, like, she definitely made it seem like she was okay, because if not, they would have done further things. So either she is okay, or if the person she's with wants to make her seem like that. I don't know.
That too. I hope she was with somebody loving who cares about her and is not taking advantage of her. And one of the pictures I sent you, there's a picture of her, and I think she's with her mom. And not that you can necessarily judge somebody from a picture, but they just look so happy and sweet together. Emily looks like she's genuinely enjoying the moment. Her mom does too. You can't tell for sure, but they just don't seem like there's any sort of rift between them.
Yeah.
But I will say, on one final note I wanted to mention is that wherever Emily was 5 years later, she somehow found out that police had asked her to come and to let them know she's okay. So for me, I think it's less likely that she's living on the streets as a runaway at that point, because she must have access to technology, whether it be a computer, TV, phone, or something, to have seen the message from the police department.
That's true. She has to, at the very least, be well off enough to have some sort of access to a phone, a computer, news, something like that, that allows her to see, okay, hey, they're still looking for her.
Oh, and I also want to say, not just because she's homeless doesn't mean she doesn't have a phone, because there are some homeless people who work and they're homeless and they have phones or whatever. But she seems to be connected to society digitally somehow, if she was able to receive the message from the police. That is all I have on the Emily Paul case. So are there any final thoughts?
No, it was definitely very interesting, I'll say. But no, I don't have any further questions.
So, Mom, did you have any thoughts? I know Elena and I figured somebody was involved.
I didn't say that. I didn't put words in my mouth.
I thought you were like.
I said it was suspicious, but there's definitely
bad.
not enough evidence for me to say, like, yes, she was clearly kidnapped.
And I will say, I'm not saying that I for sure think somebody was involved, because I really don't know. I think it could go either way. But if I had to guess, I would guess that somebody else was involved too.
I don't know either way. It is a little strange of a story, and I'm glad she's safe. My only thing is, for her to be paying attention to the police station's Facebook page, I'm not sure she's paying attention, or someone in the family that she still has a connection with and told her what they're saying, and she decided to just go in and talk to them. So it just seems, if you're a runaway and you just sent your parents or your mother or something, just say, I'm safe, it's not necessarily you're going to be watching the Facebook page of the police in the area. So I'm wondering if someone she's keeping in contact with in the city let her know, and then she did come and talk to them. Where does she live? In Florida, right?
In Florida, yeah.
Is it a small town or is it a pretty big town?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me Google Southport. I was thinking, you were just saying, on that social media for the police station, that's not something I think most people her age are going to be looking at on social media, is the police department social media. That's definitely something that somebody in their 40s or 50s would follow on social media.
I believe someone brought it to her attention. And
I do
she
too.
Went in, which means she's in communication with someone, probably still in the area. Yeah. Whether it's a cousin or an aunt or grandparent. So I was just wondering how big the city is.
Let's see. Okay, so the population of Southport, Florida is 8,600 people.
Okay, so it's very little, so it would be hard for anyone to keep her in their home from the family if they live in that area and not know that she's around. So someone in the area, Southport is only 8,000 people. I doubt she's paying attention to what the police department Facebook page is saying.
Yeah.
That means she's in communication with someone.
I guess it's not completely off the books. And if she knows she's a runaway and she's sending things, maybe she just happened to come across it, because maybe she's in that area, and if she's on social media, maybe she comes across the media for her local PD and sees it.
It could be. It could definitely be, because it took her 2 weeks,
right,
one way or another. Now maybe she was thinking, am I going to do this? Am I not?
Right. And maybe afterwards, because she started sending the letters first, right?
Yeah, she sent the letters first.
Maybe she's like, I wonder what they're doing with these letters, if they've gone to the police or not, or anything like that. And she might have looked it up and seen that, oh, okay, yeah, they gave it to the police. And because if she was a runaway and she did that, if I was in her position, I would think, oh, okay, like, I'm assuming the police might still be, like, looking. Let me see if they are looking for me, if I need to go in.
I think those letters, and she didn't just send one, she sent multiple.
Right.
So there's, in my opinion, I feel like there's likely a loving connection there.
Yeah, no, 100%, which is why I feel like given that she's sending the letter, she might already been keeping in touch with her family and maybe the community or something to see if they're like still looking for her or if she needs to still put their minds at ease that she's okay.
Yeah, well, at least not her cousin or her mom. So
Right.
there are people in her family she's definitely not in contact with. But
Right.
my heart breaks for her and her family too.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week and listening to the podcast. In the meantime, till next time, please stay on the eerie side. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you and be safe.